कृतं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोर् श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूप स्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्थसुभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्म हृदय आदि कवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। स्वस्ति अस्तु विश्वस्य खलः प्रसीदतां ध्यायन्तु भूतानि शिवं मिथो धिया मनश्च भद्रं भजता ददोक्षजे आवेश्यतां नो मतिरप्यहेतुकी। We are continuing to read from Bhagavad Gita chapter 3, beginning from verse number 27. So Krishna has explained the principle of Karma Yoga, and he said that in the past many great personalities like Janaka, they attained perfection by Karma Yoga, and then he gave his own example that he is also himself following it. Although he has nothing to attain, no desires to fulfill, yet he is working always, Sattam. And he recommends that this is what others should do. Those who are wise, they should not unsettle the mind of ignorant people, unnecessarily try to tell them that you don't need to do anything, or you will attain perfection by giving up action. So he does not recommend that. But he recommends that they should be guided to perform duty according to their nature. Now in the present verse, he speaks of nature. Prakritehe kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashah ahankar vimudhatma kartaham iti manati. It's one of the very popular verses of Bhagavad Gita. All actions are performed by the senses made of Prakriti. One whose mind is deluded through egoism thinks, I am the doer. So this verse is throwing some light on the distinction between ourselves and the body. Because whenever we do something, we feel we do it. Right? But actually it is just happening around us. Although we think that we are doing it. It's like there is a lizard in the roof. Here we have many lizards. And lizards can walk under the roof. They can be just sticking there for hours, they don't fall down. So the lizard is there under the roof sticking, and she is thinking that she is holding the roof. And she is feeling very proud of it. That if I move from here, the roof is going to collapse. So this is the reality. Actually things are happening around us, but we think that we are doing it. And it is very hard to believe. We are laughing at the lizard, but we are actually doing the same thing. But we will not believe it. So if you know that you are separate from the body, and body is the product of Prakriti. Prakriti means material nature. So body is made of matter. This is very clear. Science also agrees to this. And all the actions are happening in the matter. And you are not that matter. So this is a serious matter.
No matter what.
No matter what. So this is what Krishna has been hammering from the very beginning. The very first statement he made, Asocchanan Vasochastvam Pragyavadasya Bhasasya Gatasmuna Gatasmunasya Nanusochanti Pandita Natvevaham Jatanasham Natvam Neme Janadhika Naichaiva Ne Bhavishyama Sarvam Vayamata Parma. So he goes on making this point repeatedly, that you are not this body. And if you are not this body, and all the actions happen only in the body. If you had a lunch, you say, I had lunch. But who had it? Who actually ate? The teeth, the mouth, the tongue, the belly. So where are you involved in that? Which part of that is you? Are you the teeth? Are you the tongue? Are you the throat? Or the belly? What are you? So individually if you see, you will say, no, I am not. I am not the teeth, because we can remove your teeth. Jaya is doing that. Krishna is working very hard to remove the teeth. So sooner or later your teeth will be removed. Just wait. It's a matter of time. Actually you will be happy to remove them. In fact you will pay for it. Happily. And still you will remain as you are. Still you will say, I am this. You will not say that I am less now. So you are not the teeth, and without teeth you cannot eat. So who is eating? So Krishna says, Prakritahe kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha. That all the actions, sarvasha, kriyamanani, they are being performed by the senses. You have the senses and you perform work with them. Right? So you are not doing it with the senses, it is the nature, Prakriti, which is composing or which makes these senses, and these senses then act. And you are just a witness to that. So it's like now it is the age of automation. That sooner or later they will make a car that you will just sit inside the car. Don't have to touch anything. You can have a remote control, or you can wear something on your head and just think that car should start, turn left, right, and it will happen. You can sooner or later make like that. So you may say that you are driving, but actually you are just sitting there and thinking. So like that we are sitting in this body, which Krishna calls as a machine, yantra. Yantra rudhani mayaya, brahmiyan sarvabhutama. So we are sitting on this body and things are happening in the body. And then we identify with it and we say that I am doing it. So even if you say it, at least know that it is only the body which is doing it. Because to deal in this material world you have to speak like that. But at least inside we have to know who is doing who is not. In the beginning of last century there was one yogi in India. His name was Ram. I don't know if you have heard about him. You heard about Ram? Swami Ram? There was one Swami Ram recently. And there was one much before that. In the beginning, he was around 1910, 1920. He was very famous and he also went to America. So one day he went out, maybe in New York, and then people were making fun of him because he was a very strange looking guy in New York. Nobody has seen Swamis in these days. Now people know. So they were making fun of him. And then when he came back to his place, to his host, somebody was hosting him. And then when he was sitting and he was laughing, he was saying, oh, today this fellow had a great fun. These people were abusing this Ram. And I was having great fun. So this man could not understand what is he talking about. He says they threw stones at him and they abused him and somebody spit at him. And this was great fun. So he did not understand what he is saying. Because he was referring to himself as in third person. That this fellow Ram today got real beating. And somebody was trying to pull his robe. So finally he asked that, whom are you talking about? So he says, I am talking about this guy. This fellow Ram, he was saying like this. So he says, who are you? He says, I'm not this. I just sit inside and watch the fun. So he says this was really hilarious. I really enjoyed it. So he was seeing this body as different. Yeah, let him do the cleaning. So this is what Krishna is saying. He is not of course saying that you behave like this, but at least know that whatever is happening, it all happens outside you. So when you know this, then you will understand that you are not the real doer. So that's what he says. And if you can understand this, then you will not become attached to the karma. And you will not get the reaction of karma you perform. Because reaction we get because we think we are the doer. If you think you are the doer, then you are the one who are going to get the reaction from it. But if you know that you are not the doer, and it just happens around you, then you also don't get the reaction. So this is what Krishna says here, and later on, especially in 18th chapter, he will speak more about it. He will say that there are 5 causes behind every work. Adhishthanam tatha karta, karnam cha prithak vidam, vivdhascha prithak cheshta, devam chaitra panchman, nyayam va vipritam va, panchavi tasya hetam. He says that these 5 are the causes for every action you perform. So, evam sati kartaram atman kevalayam. But if one thinks only oneself as the doer, then that is obviously a mistaken idea. So it says that the body, the senses, the life air, and beyond everything there is God. All these things combined together are causes of any action. But to think only yourself as responsible or as doer, so that is a mistake. And then later on he goes on to say that yasya naham kritir bhava buddhir yasya niliptate tvapi siman lokan nahanti na nibadhyate. That one who understands that he or she is not the doer, does not have this bhava, this feeling, this consciousness of doership. So they say such a person becomes free from karma. So no matter what he does, he is free from the karma. So that's what he is saying here also. Here he says in the opposite that ahankara vimudhatma. That one who is bewildered by the ahankara, the ego. So ego is that which takes credit for the actions happening in the body. That is what is called ego. That something happens in the body and then ego proclaims that he did it, I did it. So this sense of I and then sense of this doership, this is what we call as ahankara. So Krishna uses the word vimudhatma. So vimudhatma, vimudha means bewildered, hypnotized. When somebody is hypnotized, what happens? That he or she believes something which is not that. You give him some cup of water and tell this is milk. So he will think this is milk and drink it like milk. Or if you say that this is very hot, so he will feel it hot, although it may be actually ice cold water. So that is hypnosis. In the hypnotized state, the person does not see the reality. So like that, everybody is hypnotized. We may only consider somebody as hypnotized who has been hypnotized by someone and say that this guy is hypnotized. But fact is that everyone is hypnotized by Maya, by this Prakriti. That is what Maya has done. So Pitva Moho Mayi, that this Mohamai Maya, one has drunk the liquor of Maya. And Unmut Bhutoyam Jagat, we have become intoxicated or hypnotized. So intoxication is also a type of hypnosis, because you don't see things as they are. It's an altered state of mind. So, Pitva Moho-mayi Madhiram. Like you drink some liquor or some drug and then you hallucinate. So same is happening to us, that we are completely hypnotized by our body. Therefore, we are seeing things differently, like that lizard who is thinking that she is holding the roof and feeling very proud about it. Look, I hold this roof, otherwise this roof is going to fall down. So like that, we also think that we do so many things and it is because of us that the world is running. I am not there, then this world will come to a halt. I am the center of this universe and I make it move. So previously people used to think that sun is going around the earth. When Copernicus revealed that no, it is the other way around, earth is going around the sun, people did not like it. Because it was very hard to believe that it is we who are going around the sun and not the other way around. It is more comfortable to think that sun goes around the earth than to think. Now it may be natural for us to think that earth rotates around the sun. But imagine when people were believing it other way around, and to give up that idea was difficult, because it also hurts the ego. Why shall we go around the sun and not that sun goes around us? We are the center. Everything goes around us. So we also believe that, we also think like this, that we do many things. Although when you sit down and analyze, then you realize that there is hardly you do anything. And it is more in the ego. So this is something which is very revealing. Prakritai kriyamanani, gunai karmani sarvasya. You should memorize this verse, because this verse is talking about the hypnotism, mass hypnotism. There is individual hypnotism if you take some drug or something, and then there is mass hypnotism when everybody is hypnotized. So that is the situation of people. So then those who are not hypnotized, what do they think? That is described in the next verse. It says, Tattvittu mahabaho gunakarma vibhagayo gunagunesu vartante iti matvana sajjate. But O mighty armed one who knows the truth about the distinction of the mind and senses and their functions from the self is not attached, knowing that only the mind and senses are engaged within the sense objects. So it is only the senses which engage in sense objects. You have the tongue, you eat food. So tongue is coming in contact with the food. You don't contact the food, right? It's only the tongue. Wherever you are, whatever you are, naturally, at least you understand that you are not contacting the food. Food is either touched by your hand, if you use fingers Indian style, or by the spoon, you don't even touch it, and then you put it in your mouth, and then the tongue is the one which tastes it. So like that, each sense is contacting the sense object which is relevant to it. You smell some flower, you see some object, but you stay away from it. It's only the sense which is coming in contact. So therefore sometimes senses are also called sparsha, or sometimes they are called matra. Sparsha means to touch, to contact, matra means to measure, because they are the ones which are measuring it. So one who is tattvavit tu mahabahu. So tattvavit means one who knows the truth, one who understands the reality. So he or she knows that it is only the senses and sense objects which are playing with each other. And I am just distinct from it. So sometimes you should practice it, observing like that. When you are eating, so try to see yourself as separate, and all the eating is happening outside you. It's difficult because we are habituated to see it as if we are doing it. But this is the reality. So he says, Guna gunesu vartante iti matvana sajjate. So once you understand that it is only the senses which are functioning in the sense object, then you don't become attached to anything. You will understand whether the food is tasty or not tasty, but you don't become attached to it. And that is what is being taught here. It is not that one who knows the reality does not feel heat or cold. It's not true. You will also feel whether it is hot or cold, whether it is sweet or sour, whether it has a good taste or not. But he remains detached to that, indifferent. That is the difference between a common person and a tattvavit. So that is the meaning which was said in the previous chapter. Sukhe dukhe samay kritva labha labham jaya jaya. That you remain equanimous between happiness and distress, victory and defeat, gain and loss. So this is possible if one can detach oneself from this. And this is something which one needs to practice. And it needs a lot of awareness. And it is possible. Because this is the fact. The other is not a fact. The other is, as I said, is like a hypnotic state. So we are falsely thinking. So when you understand this, then you will realize that actually nothing ultimately really matters. Because nothing really happens to you. No matter what goes around you, good or bad, desirable or undesirable, ultimately nothing really matters to you. Just as 10 years ago, you may be in a particular situation and at that time you are happy or in distress, but now when you look back, it doesn't make any difference to you. And similarly, in the past life, so many things happened. You don't bother about them anymore. But when you are in that particular situation, then you cannot think like this because of attachment. But if you become detached, then it doesn't matter. So yesterday I was talking about King Janaka. So Janaka actually made a statement. Said that even if the whole palace burns and I lose everything, then it won't influence me. And of course that does not mean that he will not care and let the palace burn. It's not like Nero playing on his flute when the city Rome is burning. But he is speaking about the detached state. Actually one day he had a dream. And in the dream, one king attacked him. He was a king. So some king attacked him. And there was a fierce battle between him and the king's army. And in the battle he lost. And he lost, but he escaped. He was not killed. The dream will be over. So he lost his kingdom and he is walking in the forest alone. He even lost his family, his wife, children, servants, nobody. He is alone. And there is no food. He is hungry. So he is a king, but he lost everything in the dream. And then he is very hungry and thirsty. And there is nothing to eat, no water to drink. So he felt very distressed in the state. And then he woke up. And when he woke up, he sees himself, he is lying in his bedroom in the palace on a nice soft bed. He is still the king. Nothing has been lost. But then he got into this thought. Because he was a philosopher, he was a thinker. And he started thinking that which one is true? Is it that the dream is true or this one is true? What if this is the dream and that is reality? So he was lying in the bed and he was saying, is that true or is this true? Is that true or is this true? So it was morning time, and as was a custom, these brahmanas, they came to wake him up by singing Vedic mantras, but he is not getting out of the bed. This dream was so intense and he is thinking so much about it that he did not get out of the bed, and it became a big problem. And he kept on saying that, is this true, is that true? And his wife came and all the servants came and they all got worried. And they tried to wake him up, but he is not waking up. So finally they have to call his guru, Vasishtha. So Vasishtha came, and then he is seeing this. So he paid respect, and then he asked his guru, which one is true? So then Vasishtha replied, he gave a very nice reply. He says, neither that is true nor this is true. So now you get up and go beyond both. So he says that is one illusion and this is another illusion. That is the illusion in the dream and this is an illusion in the wakeful state, and you go beyond both on that. So there is a big dialogue between him and Vasishtha. There is also Vasishtha Ramayana. There is a big book called Vasishtha Ramayana. Dialogue between Janaka and Vasishtha. So the reality is beyond both. So this of course does not mean that the world does not exist or the dream does not really happen. It happens, but it happens outside us. So that's what this particular verse is saying, that Tattvittu Mahabaho Guna Karma Vibhagaya. That he knows the difference between senses, their action, and the divisions of these two. So the word guna here means the senses, karma is the action of the senses. And then guna guneshu vartante, then the word guna means senses and the sense of lives. So this is what is called Sankhya. Because in 2nd chapter, 3rd chapter, 4th, 5th chapter, Krishna keeps on talking about Karma Yoga, and then he also comes back to Jnana Yoga. Because this chapter began with this question, Jayasi chet karmanaste mata buddhirjanardana tatkim karmani bhore mam niyojesu keshav. That if you think that knowledge is better than action, why are you asking me to engage in action? So Krishna speaks about both. So this type of understanding, this is called Sankhya or Jnana. And then to engage in action according to one's prescribed duty, that is called Karma Yoga. So prakriter gun sammudha sajjante gun karmashu tana kritsan vido mandana kritsan vinna vichalayet. Being deluded by the gunas of Prakriti, people become attached to the senses and their functions. A person of perfect knowledge should not disturb the mind of those who are ignorant and less intelligent. So he is explaining the situation of both those who are deluded, bewildered by the gunas of Prakriti, and also those who are not. So of course those people who are free from this delusion, they are very few. Majority of people are under the influence of Prakriti, Maya, and they are deluded. And therefore such people, they cannot understand those who are free from it. Rather, they will think that these other people who are free from this delusion, they are abnormal. They may be sick people, they need treatment. And people who are actually sick or deluded, hypnotized, they think themselves that they are right. So that's why it is a big problem for an enlightened person to live with this type of people. And then to try to teach them something is even more difficult. Because they will think that this person is out of his head, something wrong with him. It's like if you go to a mental hospital and you are a normal person and you have to live with mentally sick people, you will have a big problem. Because these mentally sick people, they don't think that they are sick. They think that they are alright. And they will think you are sick. So one will have big problem living with them. Either you have to become one among them or you have to leave the place. If you want to be with them, then it will be a very problematic situation. Surely you cannot convince them that they are mentally ill, or they are crazy, or they are insane, abnormal. You cannot convince them. Because no mentally sick person thinks that he or she is sick. So that is also the situation in the material world, that we are, as Krishna is saying, deluded by the gunas of Prakriti. But if someone tells this to us, we are not going to believe this. What is this? We are normal. I am a normal person. I don't do anything abnormal. I am not harming anybody. So why you think that I am sick or I am crazy? So this is a very peculiar situation. Therefore Krishna, he chose to teach to Arjuna. If you would have been teaching to actually some normal person, he will have difficulty. Arjuna is his friend who is taking the role of a confused person. So he can speak to him. But if he has to actually speak to a normal, what we call normal, then he will have big problems. Because he will say, what are you trying to say? We are not like this. Why you say that we are deluded by Prakriti? We are not deluded. So this is the biggest problem with the human mind, that we have this disease inside. We have anger, we have lust, we have greed. These are the delusions. You are not angry all the time. But when you are angry, you are abnormal. An angry person is just like if somebody is intoxicated or hypnotized. Right? Because the angry person speaks differently. The angry person looks different. It's like somebody is intoxicated, he looks different. He speaks different, he walks differently. Similarly, when somebody is angry, and he walks differently. The way an angry person walks and Same person when he is out of anger walks right, walks different, talks different, looks different, everything is different. So what has happened is the same person. But this anger is like an intoxicant. It hypnotizes the person to behave differently. So now don't think that when you are in a normal state, then you are not under the influence of anger. Anger is also there, but now it is lying low. But if someone tells you that you are a very angry person, then you become angry. Right? And you'll say, how can you say like this about me? I never become angry. I'm a very peaceful person. So ego does not like to hear these types of statements, that you are a lusty fellow, you are an angry person, you are greedy, you are a coward. So all these things we have inside, and they keep on coming out periodically. It's like you become hungry periodically. Right? At a particular time you become hungry. At a particular time you feel sleepy. The body follows this. So like that, body also does these other things. Periodically you get angry. Periodically you get lusty ideas, greedy thoughts. So it goes in periods. Because that is Prakriti. It goes in certain cycles. Like earlier Krishna says, I have set up this cycle. So everybody has their nature and there is a cycle. So periodically you have to get angry. It's like you have this pressure cooker. So you put it on the stove, there is water inside, and slowly it is getting hot and steam is generated. So pressure is building up. Then after some time it will blow. Steam goes out. And then whistle is not blowing. Then it is collecting the pressure. When pressure is building up, then again it will blow. When pressure builds up, blow, pressure builds up. So like that, we have spurts of anger. And then your steam is out, then you are calm. See, it's not that you are calm, actually you are building up steam. When you are calm, you are not sitting quietly, you are building up steam to get angry. Then anger will come out. Then you, for some time, there is a lull, then there is a storm, then again for some time, there is peacefulness. So you go on like this. Same with lust, you get sexual thoughts. When your mind becomes agitated, then you engage in sexual act. Then you are peaceful for some time. Then again it is building up. Then again it happens. Again. So it goes like this. So this is the meaning of when Krishna says that people are bewildered by Prakriti. This is the meaning of delusion. We don't see it. We think, well, I don't become angry so much. Only once in a while. And then you point out to someone else who gets angry quicker than you. So you feel relieved by that. Because you can feel happy by seeing somebody who is getting more angry than you. So everybody has their own nature in their own cycles, and they go through that. And we like this. Therefore, if someone says this, that you are angry, you are lusty, you are greedy, then you become upset with that person. Because this is your nature, don't tell me this is what I am. So you don't want to show it to anybody. You want to hide your anger, your lust, your greed, right? You want to keep it secret from others. So that means actually we want freedom from them. Otherwise, why we become upset if someone points this out to us and then we defend that no, I am not like this. That means really speaking, we also don't like it, but we have no choice because we have our nature. So what are you going to do with it? So it says Prakriti Guna Sammudha Sajjante Guna Karmasu. So we are deluded by this Prakriti and then we become attached to them. We know that people don't like me getting angry. So I don't want to give up the anger, but I want to prove to others that I am not an angry person. Or if I get angry, then I repent. And I ask for forgiveness, please forgive me. Which means that I am not really such a bad person as you may be thinking. So I want to keep my image intact. Like getting angry means that some scar has come on my image. So I don't want you to see that scar. So I say, please forgive me. It just happened. I will not do it again. But you will do it again. So then you will find some other excuse. That I really didn't want to get angry, but she made it impossible for me not to get angry. Or I was in a bad mood because of my boss. And then I lost my temper. So we will rationalize our delusion, so that we don't look bad to others. We have to keep our nice image. So we try to prove to others that I am not a greedy person, I am not a lusty person, I am not an angry man, I am a sober, gentle and jolly, happy-go-lucky fellow. So this is the image we want. Because our true identity as Atma, as soul, is free from all this. So that's why we don't like these things, but what can we do? We have them and we don't know any solution for it. We have a material body, we have a material mind, and these mind and body have these characteristics. I don't have any control over them, although I would like to be free from it. So then what I do is that I rationalize it. So I try to put a nice picture of myself in front of others. I try to whitewash them so that they are not visible to others. But you cannot avoid them. They have to come out. You cannot go on repressing them. There's a pressure cooker and there's a stove under it. And it's going to make steam. No matter how much you avoid it, and sooner or later it's going to blow out. So it may blow out on somebody else. It will look for a reason to get angry. So sometimes we look for reasons to get angry so that we can rationalize our anger. Then you feel all right. After all, anyone will become angry in such a situation. It's needed. So then people will say anger is also needed. Otherwise nobody will listen to me. So this is the sammoha, this is the delusion of Prakriti. Prakriti guna sammudha, being deluded by the gunas of Prakriti. What are the gunas of Prakriti? Mike, you know now? Very good. So these are the three guys which are bewildering us. Sometimes sattva is bewildering us, sometimes rajas, sometimes tamas. And they fight with each other. There is always wrestling going on. So sometimes sattva takes over, sometimes rajas takes over, sometimes tamas takes over. But we are always under their influence. So what Krishna is saying, that you observe them, this sattva, rajas and tamas, it's a play of these gunas. Don't fall under their sway, but observe them. And observing is not easy, that's why it needs a lot of practice. We can observe others' anger, others' greed, but that is of no use to us. You have to observe your own anger, how the anger begins inside, what happens when you are getting angry, how does it trigger, and then how it builds up, and then it goes to the peak, right? And then it comes down.
But is it maybe a little bit useful if we observe sometimes these things, because it's easier to see it in others. So if we're observing how nature is playing out, or the symptoms of these natures coming out in others, and then we can see that and kind of say like, oh, and I do that too. And then
no, I'm not saying that you don't see it in others. But ultimately, benefit is to see in yourself. It is good to see in others also, because you can also have fun. And see them, just see. So then you will not be disturbed. Otherwise, others' anger also makes you angry. And you lose your anger. So if you can see that now the rajas is acting, then you can just watch it and not become involved in it. So previously there were joint families, so people will fight with each other, then they will relax. So there was fight between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, right? The stories of mother-in-laws and daughter-in-law. So now those things are gone, so only husband and wife have to fight. Because there is no one else to fight. Previously husband and wife will not fight, because they had enough people to fight. So then they will remain nicely without fighting. Now because there is nobody else in the family, they have what they call as nuclear families. Only one hydrogen atom, one proton, one neutron. So with whom are you going to fight? It's like one man, he was visiting a psychotherapist. So the psychotherapist asked this man, do you cheat on your wife? So this man says, what kind of question is that? Who else can I cheat? What are you saying? If I have to cheat, I can only cheat my wife. So if you have to fight, with whom are you going to fight? So at least you observe others and see how the rajas is working now, how the tamas is working, how sattva is working, and that way you can